Hi, I'm Ed Marsh. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Signals from the OP. Today we're going to talk about cost of distance, how it's falling, and what that means for industrial manufacturers. If you're familiar with the Signals from the OP series, you know that I tackle topics that are a little bit controversial, may not get a bunch of attention or discussion, but I believe have significant strategic implications for industrial manufacturers, and this is certainly one of them. So if you and I were sitting together today in a room and I asked you to raise your hand if you use Amazon Prime, I know a lot of hands would be going up. Mine would. I mean, for me, the realization happened one day when I ordered a $3.70 pack of highlighters to avoid driving 30 minutes to Staples. I needed them shortly, and that was the best answer. This low cost of shipping, low cost or no cost shipping, has dramatically changed the way we make decisions as consumers. It's reduced the cost of distance for our consumer decisions. And in fact, it's done it globally. I mean, my wife buys stuff through Etsy from around the world. It's happening in business too. Now, we think of it a little bit differently, but the implications are potentially much bigger, even though they may not be as obvious to us. Karen Harris, who's the managing director of Bain's Macro Trends Group, has been doing some really interesting work and research around this. If you find this an interesting topic, I suggest you look up some of the things that she's done. But when you look at this question, cost of distance, from the perspective of B2B manufacturers, there's some really interesting potential implications. First, what does it even mean to be a traditional manufacturing factory if a decentralized model potentially changes the way we think of factories? I mean, factories were built as a centralized location, both in supply chain context and geography, to facilitate the collection of raw materials, the creation of the product, and distribution to the end destination. But what will 3D printing and blockchain, to the extent that authentication of quality and original source are important, what will those do to cost of distance, to manufacturing? How distributed will manufacturing actually become? Will we even have factories? That obviously has implications for the workforce. If the workforce no longer convenes every day in a centralized factory, then employees could be dispersed. They could be in cells, or they could even be individuals spread around with a 3D printer doing their thing. And the difficulty that companies have hiring some of the advanced manufacturing skill sets that really is one of the barriers to growth these days, that's going to diminish in importance, as those skills are either less critical because of automation, or less in demand because they're less centralized. The centralized monitoring and remote troubleshooting of machines, combined with even some sort of a kind of, call it a consignment 3D printing program to create replacement parts on a customer's floor, means that the cost of distance related to service support falls dramatically. I mean, you may not even have to have field service technicians. Maybe you have one in one location around the world, as opposed to having them distributed, working out of their homes or offices around the world. How about the role of distance or proximity in purchasing decisions? I mean, if everybody can jump on a Zoom meeting, have a whiteboard functionality and other tools, and be able to do business as though they're sitting together, then maybe we can make purchasing decisions that way. What's the role of sales channel going to be? I mean, sales channel was originally conceived as a way to help manufacturers overcome the vast geographies and the cost of distance at the time. If cost of distance isn't a factor and geography becomes irrelevant, then what's the role of sales channel? It becomes one of distributing insights rather than information or products, obviously. Global markets open up in huge ways as the cost of distance falls. It's a big opportunity for many American companies that don't export nearly as much as they could. And then those are kind of high-level issues, first-order issues, but there's a lot of cascading implications. Many of the small and middle-market industrial manufacturing companies that I work with actually have a fair amount of the family wealth tied up, not just in the business, but in the real estate itself, the commercial real estate, the factory buildings, the warehouses, etc. If manufacturing becomes distributed, no longer centralized, what does that mean about the impact on commercial real estate valuation? And if that falls, what does that mean in terms of wealth accumulation and the family's business decision-making process. So there's a lot of really fascinating stuff that kind of ties in this. Now, obviously, this brief video and this quick exploration of the topic only just scratches the surface of what's a very complex set of questions and interrelated set of considerations. Nobody knows how it's all going to work out. We can't foresee what it's going to be like in 3 years or 10 years, but nobody should be excused for not thinking about it, not trying to anticipate it, not looking for opportunities or considering threats just because we don't know for sure what it's going to be like. Find a resource, or a couple of them, people that enjoy this and have foresight and do a lot of reading and research that can complement your in-house team that tends to focus on your day-to-day stuff. Bring them in as a consultant, have them help you develop this thinking, and periodically revisit it. Create some lists of opportunities, some lists of threats, and think about ways that this falling cost of distance is going to impact your business, your market, and as I always say, it's really important to consider your customers and their customers as well, because those are the early indicators, or those are where the opportunities and threats are really going to come from that will impact your business. If you like this kind of a contrarian or slightly offbeat look at some of the issues that are percolating up that are going to impact industrial manufacturers from a strategic perspective, I'd welcome you to subscribe to these periodic video blogs. You can do that at SignalsFromTheOP.com. That's SignalsFromTheOP.com. I'm Ed Marsh. Thanks for joining me.